Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'll be Guna Gimley, and tonight joining me is, first up, is our man eagerly pushing the buttons and polishing even the dirtiest of turds. It's our producer, Danny the GFP. Hello, Danny.
Ahoy, ahoy, shipmates.
Hopefully there'll be no editing tonight because I understand you've got a birthday coming up.
Tell you what, 3 hours, 36 minutes, I'll be nearly 40.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard it was 45.
43? Well, 43 is nearly 40. It's closer to 40 than it is to 50.
What's 2 years between people that claim to like each other?
I don't know. I'll have to ask GC.
Oh, fair enough. Hello, Mr. She-War, if you're listening. Next up is a podcast favourite and aggressor to the species known as celebrity. It's Jeff Arsenal. Hello, Jeff.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, we're all right. It's nice that every week we come on here and we make up like we've all just met up doing this, whereas really we've been talking for the last hour and a half.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, of course.
Oh, dear.
But no, I shall move on. Our next guest is a podcasting old-timer who I'm sure you all know. From Twitter, it's Little Will AFC. Hello, Will.
Hello, Gim. You all right?
Yeah, we understand you've been wanting to come on for a while, and it's nice to finally get you on.
Yeah. Always up for a podcast. Voice my views. Hopefully get some more people to like me.
You did a podcast before as well, didn't you?
Yeah. About 2 years ago, kind of when podcasts weren't. It was more. The blog was the big thing 3 years ago, and I started a podcast up, and it got to a decent level. Got a decent amount of listeners and stuff like that. Nothing like this, but it was fun. Podcasting's always been kind of in the blood ever since.
No, definitely. We're not quite sad enough to be doing 2 or 3 a week as yet, but I don't know where I'm quite going with that. But there we go. We'll kick off to the next guest then, and our final guest is responsible for a Bergkamp Wonderland ZLM video on YouTube. We loved it so much we thought we'd get him on. It's Ian Culverhouse. Hello, mate.
Hello, guys. How are you?
I'm all right. I did pronounce that right, didn't I?
Yeah, UK Vampire will do. But Ian, yeah, you did pronounce it completely correctly as well.
Oh, good. Because you're spelled I-A-I-N.
Yeah, not Phil.
This is someone that might experiment with the odd drug now and again, and look in that, it's just letters. But I for the sake of the podcast, I'll just call you Ian. Right. We'll kick off tonight then by going straight over to Danny, who's got you all of the results from Arsenal across the board. Danny.
Beep, biddy, beep, biddy,
Beep, biddy, beep, beep, beep.
Biddy, beep. Right, Arsenal under-21s beat Wolves 2-1 at the Emirates. Monday just gone. I think they were charging £5 a person, or £4 a person if you wanted to go. So if you were there, hello. If you weren't, hello. With goals from beat them 2-1 with Rio and our favourite Maureen Littman. She scored, and we're now 7th, and West Ham are top. Closely followed by Sunderland and Fulham. They're all very close together at the top of the table. Our next under-21s game is on the 28th of October when we go up to Bolton. And as usual, if anyone sees a postman there called Mick Dagger, remind him he owes me £12 for a Dreamcast game from 2001 because I think he's avoiding me.
He's got the moves like Dagger.
He certainly has, a dirty northern monkey.
Does he listen to the podcast?
No, he doesn't. I've not spoken to him in 2 years.
Send someone up there to visit him for your £12.
I know. Petrol alone will cost nowhere near that.
I'll do it for a £5.
Excellent. And then you want 20% of any recovered funds.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, shut up, I'm speaking. Where was I? You've made me fucking lose my point now because none of this is written down at all. The under-18s lost 2-1 away at Aston Villa with a goal from Steph Mavididi. I think that's how you pronounce it. And we're now third from bottom as we have not won a game since the opening game of the season. We beat Liverpool. Remember, I was all excited saying, "Hey, we won the first game against Liverpool," and we're shit. But there again, Leicester played 8, lost 8, so at least we're not going to go down. I don't know if we go down, but we're not going to go down. Fulham are kicking arse, running away with that as usual. Our next under-18s game is the 19th of October at home to Reading, and it's a 11 a.m. kickoff. So if you go, tell them I said hello. The ladies have had a bit of silverware this week. They won the League Cup, which
not
is
a brass strap then.
No, that's the new WSL Women's Super League God, I hope that's what it's called. It's the third season of that because we won the league the first 2 seasons and come third this year. But we've won the League Cup all 3 of those years. So we beat Lincoln 2-0 with goals from Ellen White and Kim Little. Or was that Little Kim? Hey, I bet she's never heard that. As long as it's not Nicky Minge, we don't care. We now hold both cups because we won the FA Cup in May for the 12th time. Now, so I'm not sure how this works because the season's just finished, but they had the FA Cup final in May, which is when the men have their one, but the women play on a annual calendar, not a biannual.
The Super League runs through the summer, so basically the Continental League Cup goes in, kind of, what's the word? In unison, in conjunction with the league. So obviously it happens when the league's finished. Basically.
So I didn't think of looking when the season started. I know they only play, there's only, I think, 10 teams there.
11 women, 1 cup.
I'm ignoring this like I ignored your other comment, you filthy heathen.
I'm always here to annoy.
Not even including the subs. How inconsiderate.
16 women, 1 cup.
There we go.
They could get messy.
Yeah, I don't think Messi want to be involved.
No.
I'll see what I did there.
I was thinking the other day, did you know these cups that the girls keep on winning? Do they go into our trophy cabinet? Because
I hope so.
Yeah, I was going to say, cause getting a bit dusty. Getting a bit dusty, mate.
Anyway, our league season is over. I said last week we won the last game 2-0 v Birmingham. It wasn't Birmingham. We won 2-0 at Everton, but we still finished third. So we've got the Champions League game. Today we played in the Champions League. We've played against a Kazakhstanian team. I don't know which one of those two is the proper terminology for someone who's from Kazakhstan. And the team we played is SSHVSM Kariat. Beat them 7-1 at their place. And we had 6 players scored a goal each. And then Kim Little Kim, not Nicky Minge, got 2 goals. So she's having an all right time, 3 goals in a week. Their next game is 17th of October, at home against that team that we beat 7-1. But as they're 7-1 down, there's no chance of them going through. So we play the winner of Standard Liège and Glasgow City, which ended 2-2 tonight. But that was in Liège, so it looks like Glasgow City have got the upper hand there. But I think they're having a bad time. Wolfsburg won 14-0 away tonight in the Champions League. And the team that they were playing, the Latvian team, I think, and their goalie got sent off at 12-0 down.
Jesus.
So that's going from bad to worse. Anyway, our ladies are now 17 games unbeaten.
Wow. Maybe Bentner could get a game for them. His hair's long enough.
Tell you what, it's not a bad shout. So there you go. Boo.
Beep, 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 beep. We'll carry on then by debating and picking apart the performance of West Brom. The game ended in a 1-1 draw, with Arsenal failing to show the recent promise they have in previous games. Ian, you're the new boy, so let's go over to you for your thoughts on it.
We all kind of went into the match with kind of high expectations based on the previous the previous run of form. And the first half, we just didn't, we may not have even bothered turning up. I mean, Jack Wilshere, I openly will say I was calling him for him to be off at half time. I just felt that we'd kind of fallen back and just into like bad habits. The balls that we were playing were just played anywhere and, generally to the opposition, which I'm kind of happy that we went, or that it was 1-1, because at the end of the day, I felt that it was a fair result given how poorly we played.
I mean, Wilshere wasn't really the only one that had a bad game. I think we must highlight the performances of, and I'll pick out just 2, Gibbs and Jenkinson. I don't think this was one of Jenkinson's games, and I think it kind of brings to a forefront whether he's actually good enough to make it at Arsenal. Jeff, what do you think on that?
Well, he's got a lot to learn. I was quite surprised that we didn't go out in the summer and purchase a good right back as cover for Bakary Sagna. Like I said, he's got a lot to learn, but I think he's got great athleticism. He's very fast. He's got a decent cross on him. He's promising, but he's unfortunately, the position that we're in at the moment, he's learning on the job. So, when we have to stick him in there, he does all right. He does enough to warrant a substitute's place, but that's about it. We do really need a quality right back as a backup if we really are going to do things. With regard to the result of the game, I think it was a decent result. I don't think we played that badly. It's a difficult place to go, West Brom. I know they all are, but it is a difficult place to go. They're not a bad side, West Brom. I really don't think they're bad. The manager's got them organised. He's got them, really, really tight, and they defended very, very deep, didn't they? And we found it very difficult to break them down. We didn't really have a lot of width. That was all the stuff that I saw on Twitter, where with Wilshere and Ramsey out wide. Jack struggled. He's not accustomed to playing out on the left hand side. And I think you could see he was really struggling. And like Ian said at half time, I was thinking, it might be better for his own benefit that we took him off. But knowing Wenger as he is, I knew he wasn't going to take him off because he lets them play through it. And thank God he did, because he scored in the second half. He was a little bit better when he went more central. He struggles with his fitness at the moment, doesn't he, Jack? But we'll see how we go, I suppose, with him. What do you think about it, Will?
Yeah, I agree with the point you make about Steve Clarke being organised. Let's not forget Steve Clarke's worked next to Rafa Benitez and Mourinho, and he's no fool when it comes to tactics. I thought on that front, basically, we didn't play well. We weren't atrocious. We did what we would do 2 years ago. We keep the ball, we retain possession. And it only looks like you're not playing well when you're not affecting the other team when you have the ball. And I think West Brom set out to basically not come and do anything. I mean, it's incredibly frustrating to watch when, Steve Clarke sets out, 2 banks of 4, and basically whenever one of our central midfielders get the ball, 2 men go to him, which is generally what was happening. I thought West Brom set out to get basically all their joy from set pieces, and in the end they did. I thought Malumbu picked the ball up very well and got it out quickly to the flank. It was basically bang with the pass, bang with the cross, and there was Jakob. It was a decent header. I think that surprised people, because we have actually got much better at that side of the game over the years, especially with the defence. As the defence gets more settled, when you have I seem to remember when we played at Swansea a couple of years ago, we got beat, and this is when we didn't have any fullbacks. People don't seem to appreciate how much, how good it is to have 2 2 fullbacks who know how to play fullback, because we didn't have much width, but without the fullbacks, I can remember having Mikel and Koscielny at fullback that day, and in the end, our joy came out from Ozil picking the ball up out wide, and through the eye of a needle picking Giroud out on the flank. So I think to summarise, West Brom set up very well. West Brom, I think, are a definite top half team. They've actually made some very good acquisitions with Amalfitano, Sessegnon, Gareth McCauley and Billy Jones are certainly going to be players that are going to break into their national team in the future. And I was very happy with the point, because we deserve. Let's not forget, in past weeks we put ourselves in a position where we can go away to a very hard ground, drop points, and still be top of the league. So I was quite happy coming out the ground on Sunday.
I think that they'll pick up points off of the other teams that are around us as well, though.
And they already have.
Decent side.
Well, not the Man United are around us, but they went to Old Trafford. I just people need to stop taking Steve Clarke for some Bob Charlie who doesn't know how to set up a football team, because at the end of the day he does. But yeah.
So one of the questions that I want to ask, Danny, and we'll go over to you next, is how much of an impact do you think playing Ramsey and Wilshere on the wings went into the actual final performance of the team?
Oh, I think Will had a good point there when he was saying the formation. They virtually mirrored our formation for the entire game. Yeah. And when you've got Wilshere and Ramsey both playing, I mean, the only reason Wilshere was playing left wing is because he was the only one other than Ozil who can play left-footed. And you're not going to play Ozil out on the left wing. So, I mean, on the bench, we didn't have anybody on the bench who could play left wing other than Miachi. But he's shown in the League Cup when they played a half-strength team West Brom, that he didn't really do much then. I mean, I was surprised that Gnabry didn't get even get half a game or part of a game. It would have been nice to see him come on. But I think Ramsey and Wilshere tended to drift in quite a bit, which is why we saw a lot of Jenkinson going down the right-hand side. I thought Gibbs had quite a good first half. A couple of things he did in the first half, I remember thinking, that's pretty good. It's good to see that he's getting stuck in and he's doing his job. Because a while ago, I think I remember vaguely that he was spending too much time roaming forwards, which is why I thought we had bought Nacho and played Nacho left back and Gibbs at left wing, because he was a winger when he was a youth at
Wimbledon.
Yeah, Wimbledon. So I thought that's what they were going to do. But I'm surprised that it's 2 games in a row now that Wenger has only used 2 subs. Now, about an hour, the games they had the first part. If you divide the game into thirds, they had the first third, we had the middle third, and then the last third was a bit of a mishmash. Nothing really too exciting happened, and I think that had been an ideal time to take Wilshere off, maybe put Miachi on, but definitely I'd have loved to have seen Gnabry get on there and have a go. But it was nice to see 2 things from the West Brom, or 3. Sessegnon, I think, is a hell of a player. He's got pace. He's quite a big bloke. Nice to see Anelka still have that little sparkle in his eye. It's good to see. And every time although he gets a lot of hate, but he did get us an entire training ground, so we've got to thank him for that. And I always like Anelka. And then that Bejarino. He was on loan at my local club, at Peterborough United last season. He only scored a couple of goals in, I think he's there half the season. But this season he scored against us in the League Cup. He scored against Man United in the Premier League, and he's got 5 goals in 6 games all season. I mean, most are in the League Cup, but he's only 20, and he's played for England at under 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. And he looks like, aged only 20, he could be a half-decent player.
He's much more worth an Eno than Gervinho was. I know that much.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, it's good, wasn't it? I liked it.
We are not amused.
No?
No.
Oh, you're terrible. Absolutely. One thing I did want to touch on as well, if we go, if you'll allow me to go a little bit more into Jenkinson's performance, is the actual right-back position. There's reports coming out tonight that Bakary Sagna is not willing to pen another contract, and Arsenal are really pushing him to sign. I mean, where can we see that going in the future? Because, like I said, I don't think Jenkinson at this moment in time is first team material. So, again, where do we see that one going, Ian?
I mean, I was surprised that he actually stayed. During last season, I expected him to go purely for the fact that nobody wanted to talk about it, and I expect him to go. Now I really want him to stay. You're right, Jenkinson's not currently, I don't want to say, let's face it, he's not good enough to play in that role all the time. He still has to learn. I don't know, who else are we going to turn to for a right back?
Yeah, no doubt there'll be one out there, one night it'll fun. But I do think Bakary will sign. We just got to give him a little bit more money. And, pardon me, give him a decent contract, because players like that, he can cover 2 or 3 positions. He can play right across the back 4. So I think he's a good addition. I mean, he was a bit at the back end of last season, or most of last season when he was playing, he didn't look interested at times, did he?
No.
Whether that was because of the contract and stuff, but I mean, he's turned out this season. He's been fantastic, isn't he, for us?
Well, this is it. I mean, he's played in the centre for us, and I've read reports that he actually enjoys playing there as well. So it acts as that cover. Where does Carl? Are we going to send Carl Jenkinson out on loan?
Yeah, I think possibly a loan for him would benefit him.
With the Sagna thing, I agree with Ian. I thought he was going to leave. It looked like a club like Milan or PSG would come in for him. I think Bakary Sagna has been consistently our best player across the board in the past 5-6 years. The last season is the only season that I can bring to mind where he has had in excess of 4 or 5 bad games. I think people were a bit unhappy with him last season for those bad performances, and I only think that was because we're not used to him having bad performances. I certainly wasn't. Anyway, I don't know about any of you. The first real bad game I can remember him having was the Carling Cup final, where he just looked completely off his game. Maybe that's because I'm a bit biased towards Sagna, but I think Sagna, for the amount of commitment he puts into each header, for the amount of speed he puts into charging into a slide tackle, I rarely seem to grasp people's outrage towards him. And I would pen a new contract I would want him to pen a new contract in a heartbeat. I think he's that valuable. And, Arsene must be jumping for joy when he knows he doesn't have to spend money on a new centre-back. Even if the fans want a new centre-back, excuse me, he's probably jumping for joy knowing he can have Sagna at centre-back in the same way that Lilian Thuram was a fantastic fullback and moved into the centre later on in his career. I think, and bear in mind, he's still French national team material and a potential captain for that side and a potential captain for Arsenal. So I really would like Sagna to sign. I think he's been a fantastic player for us. And, Jenkinson isn't ready and neither is Bellerin. So
he has said that, like you were saying, he sees his future as a centre back at 5'10".
And why wouldn't he? I don't think I've seen growing up as an Arsenal fan. Obviously, I'm younger than you lot, so you would have seen more than me.
I've got socks older than you.
I don't think, to memory, I can't remember a better header of the ball than Sagna.
For someone so small.
Yeah,
that's true. It's true. Yeah,
unbelievable. Consider his weight and his stature, the amount of spring he can get to head a ball first time, and think of the advantage he has when he heads a ball. His physique instantly affects the player he's challenging. So if he's going up against a centre forward who's gone over to mark him, his physique immediately gets him out of the way, and that clears a pathway for him to head the ball. He's a fantastic header of the ball, and he's not slow in comparison for a centre half. Think of some of the great centre halves that John Terry and Lucio were never fast. Sagna has much more about them than pace wise. So I just don't. Selling him would create a massive hole in the squad for me, positionally and, as a leader and as a personality as well. I think Sagna's fantastic.
Well, I think last season he was hard done by because you had all this stuff about Theo wanting all this money, but yet Sagna is there he hasn't got long of his contract left, and we're chucking all of our money at Theo.
I think Sagna's performances came from. Theo has actually improved in terms of defensive awareness, but there were points in the 11-12 season last season where Theo did not give a rat's arse about covering his right back. And given it's not a 4-4-2, in a 4-4-2 your conventional right midfielder would have to bear in mind both defensive capability and attacking duty. But Theo at sometimes thought he was a centre forward, drifted into the middle. A, that gives Sagna no protection, and B, it gives him no outball, and C, it gives him less confidence when the team are attacking. Because in a 4-3-3, the holding midfielder or a 4-2-3-1, the midfielder has to come over and cover that position when Theo can't get back in time. So you've got to look at it that way. Exactly. Flamini does that. Gilberto Silva done it, and Arteta knows how to do it. Positionally disciplined players. That's what benefits us. But again, I won't take any more time. I want Sagna to sign a new contract. I love that.
The Mirror have done a little bit today talking about this. See if you know any of these players. 5 right backs that we should consider. Ricardo Van Rijn of Ajax.
Yep.
Never heard of him.
Really?
Then you've got Marcos Rocha from Atletico Mineiro in Brazil. I've heard of him. He's, but I don't know if we need. He looks a bit gormless. He looks like he's in withdrawal of something.
You're also going to have problems with work permits and.
Yeah, well, just pretend he's Portuguese. It usually worked for Silvino. Then one I do like, Nathaniel Klein of Southampton. Along with him and Shaw, I think they are brilliant young players.
He's in my dream team, which I've changed this week, so you're all fucked.
I was up to 26 in our dream team. Anyway, the fourth one they've got is Roberto Rosales of FC20 in Holland. Not really. No, I haven't heard of him at all. And then the fifth one, Sam Byram of Leeds.
Very, very, very good shout. Yeah, Sam Byram's an excellent player. But
all this was by Ed Malin.
Ed Malin's actually he's a good journalist. The place I would look to the Premier League for right backs. I don't think a similar player to Jenkinson, but much better, is actually Matthew Lowton of Villa. In the terms, he's not that small. He's very athletic. He has a fantastic cross. Similar age to Jenkinson as well. I think he's a bit better. But, Micah Richards, I've always been bemused by him. There must be something more than meets the eye. No coach will pick him in the England squad. And he seems to be a versatile, physical, very capable right back. A bit like Sagna, similar build, just maybe a bit taller and a bit more of a truck, but
not good enough. Not good enough, Will, in my opinion. Not technically good enough, and he switches off. He gets caught out. I mean, he's getting on a bit now, so to speak. He's been playing for a long while.
Would you look around the league at any other right backs?
Yeah, I would. I would look at Seamus Coleman, definitely Everton.
That was my next shout.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think he's ideal. He's ideal for Arsenal. I think Seamus Coleman. He's fantastic going forward. He's tenacious. He's got a great engine, and he's good in the final third of the pitch, and he can cross a ball.
How about the Cardiff right back?
Yeah, what's his name, the right back at Cardiff?
I don't know. They bought him from some no hopers in Air Middlesex.
Was he the one doing the glazing on the stadium, and they just signed him as a right back or something like that?
Kyle Norton, isn't it?
He's from Tottenham, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I thought when you said that, I thought you meant Kevin McNaughton, who's about 35 and has grey hair. Been playing the Championship for about 10 years. I didn't know where you'd gone with that one.
I mean, why them lot ever let him go? Because he's a very promising right back.
Yeah.
Please, someone don't tell me he's a left back, because I feel a bit silly for
telling He's originally a right back, but you not remember Norton played left back in the 5-2, and Theo absolutely ripped him to shreds, which was quite entertaining.
I like the two Southampton players, the left back and Shaw. They're the bit
Luke Shaw has intensity.
Yeah.
Right, boys. We'll get back on topic then. I'm sorry to cut you off, but is there anything else that we feel should be discussed around the West Brom game, or are you all happy to move on?
I just say credit to Szczesny.
Yes, good shout.
Yet again.
Szczesny is looking more solid week in, week out. It's almost he has a blip, and it's taken him a bit of time to recover. But that save when it deflected off, Flamini's arse. See the direction he was going in, and it's only because he's 6'4", 6'5". He got his arm across to that, and there was also one where it was a simple shot and a fairly simple save, but what his ability allowed him to do was parry it nearly away to the corner flag, and his body position in parallel wasn't incredibly helpful towards him. But I'd just say fair play to Szczesny.
He's been very good. He's been very good all season, hasn't he, Szczesny? To be honest with you, he's been quite quietly confident, we should call it, because he's been getting on with his game. Thankfully, he's not been spouting out, and that his distribution's been better as well. He shits the life out of me sometimes when he gets the ball down and he wants to start twisting and turning and stuff like that. But he looks like he's good on the ball, though, to be honest with you. So you can see he's played out a little bit when they're in training and stuff, because he's familiar with the ball, so to speak, isn't he?
Yeah. And he's one of the loudest players I've heard down there for years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think a goalkeeper has got to be a little bit leery, though, haven't they? They've got to be. They've got to be. To command respect, they've got to be a little bit leery. And the boy's got confidence. You give him that.
And I just.
Right, we'll move on to the next topic then, and this is drawing from Wilshere's performance against West Brom. I feel it's important we talk about his recent escapades as covered by the press. For those of you that don't know, last week Jack was pictured in the newspaper with a cigarette in his mouth outside a club, and he has received an untold amount of abuse for it. Let's start this one off by going over to Will. And what do you think of this, Will?
Should a football player playing in the Premier League be smoking? No. Are there other players who have become world class who have smoked and just gone on to light up the world of football? Yes. It's hard to find a balance here, really. I've never tried a cigarette myself. I'm not a smoker, so I don't know how it necessarily affects the body. But with Wilshere, I think what's been good of Wilshere is he does love Arsenal. He does love the club. He does adore the fans, and when he makes a mistake, even on the pitch, he comes straight out and he says, okay, he apologised, and I've no doubt Arsene Wenger has said, don't you dare smoke again. So in the nicest way possible. So it's not something I've tried to get hung up about. We've seen these players of pictures of Zidane and Messi and Özil and players like that smoking, and you think you can't say, well, if they do it, Jack can do it. He can't. He's a professional footballer. They shouldn't be smoking. But I remember. There was a picture of Ozil. He was pictured in a pizza takeaway. Is the draw of a cigarette as bad as a full Domino's pizza with the garlic dip? I don't know. To be honest, the Domino's would probably have more effects on your arteries. So
sounds like a fucking hell of a night, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Exactly. All he's missing
mean-
is a can of Budweiser.
But I mean, hearing stories from the 90s and the early 80s, players must be looking at this and think, what the fuck are the press on about? It's a cigarette. We used to go down the pub after every match, smoke 10 and have 10 pints afterwards. So
Couple of lines as well. Don't forget.
I'd probably say I'm not educated well enough or not bothered enough to comment about it, really. I'd say it's more Jeff, Ian, Gim and Jan's
if people like Zidane and Johan Cruyff used to smoke 30 cigarettes a day. I mean, maybe the younger boys never see Cruyff, but mate, he was a top class player.
Yeah.
You know, the Bergkamp mould. I really mean it. You know, smoking's always gone on in football. You know, it's going to happen, and they're going to carry on, aren't they? I don't see why they do smoke though, because it's not going to enhance their career at all, is it? You know, that's for sure. It's not going to do them any good. It's different if it's, you know, it enhances their career, whatever they're doing, but it's not going to help them. But you know what? If he can put some great performances together, I don't care what he does, mate. As long as he does it on the pitch, then what difference does it make?
No, for me it seemed a little bit cringeworthy because he tweeted a picture of Zinedine Zidane smoking, then 5 minutes later he tweeted that he didn't smoke himself, and it's like, well,
yeah, that was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah, why are you tweeting that and then saying you don't smoke? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I mean, one interesting fact, which I'll drop for you now. I mean, Bradley Wiggins is a multi-gold medalist, and he smokes when he's not training for an event, and it doesn't look like it's done him too badly.
He's a northerner, and they all smoke up north.
It's mandatory.
Like the French, he got to.
50 a day is mandatory. But,
he's not a northerner, though, is he, Bradley? He's a London boy, and he's local. He's from like North London.
Burns?
You're joking, mate. No, he's a Cockney boy. Don't worry about that.
I have watched every Tour de France for the last 15 years.
Mod, isn't he? He likes his mod stuff.
He's a North London boy, honestly.
Honestly. Sideburns fooled me into a false sense of security.
Wikipedia's open. Don't worry, boys.
Thing is, I don't get these people. I saw it on the match day. People were going, "Oh, he's having a shit game because he had a cigarette." It's like, fuck off, you moron. No, he's not. It's not one cigarette has not impaired his ability to kick a football. You fucking idiot.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. It's all right. Like I say, if he's playing well, it doesn't matter. You think, oh, let him crack away, he's puff as much as he wants. But as soon as you start playing bad, they're going to be looking at things. Oh, why is this? Why is that? And that's when the shit hits the fan. But it did humour me when he said, well, you know, to be honest with you, I don't smoke. Well, to be honest with you, I saw that photograph and he looked like he was smoking to me.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Danny, you listened to TalkSport this week as well, didn't you? And there was a doctor on there that said one cigarette can impair your respiratory system for up to 2 days by 20%, didn't he?
Yeah, and he said that's even if you only have one.
Just a side note, Bradley Wiggins was actually born in Ghent in Belgium. So
there you go.
But he was raised in someone like...
He was actually raised
Muswell Hill or something like that. Muswell Hill, or
he was raised down the road from where my girlfriend lives in Kilburn.
I see Kilburn. He's a Kilburn boy. I knew it.
See, I did actually know that he was born in Belgium because his dad was a cyclist as well, and so being on the continental circuit, he was born in Belgium and then he lives there, and that's why he speaks fluent French. I did know that. I just bloody forgot.
But English.
You said about Ozil as well, and from memories of pictures that I've seen pictures of Mesut Ozil smoking. I've seen a picture of Szczesny smoking. I've also seen Bentner smoking, but that's not surprising because he's a twat.
He's smoking crack though, wasn't he?
Yeah, probably out of his bumhole. And I've also seen a picture of Koscielny puffing on a cigarette. I mean, these are all Arsenal players, and I know we can strike Ozil out of this because, you know, he wasn't an Arsenal player when he was actually caught smoking. But does there lie a deeper problem within Arsenal and smoking? Or is it something that, he had a cigarette, never mind, let's all move on? Ian?
Does it matter to anybody? I mean, the only reason that people are looking at it is purely for the fact that he's an England player, he's a youngster. You know, that is literally the only reason we're looking at it right now. You know, if he had a brilliant game against West Brom, would it have made any difference?
No, I agree. Topical as well, isn't it, with the England game coming up as
Yeah.
well? You know.
And speaking of Jack Wilshere and England, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and we'll do a big segment on Wilshere here, so I hope he's honoured. He's come out with some comments in the last 24 hours regarding England players and nationalities and where people are born. Danny, you've got the quote for us, haven't you?
I did have. I tweeted. I messaged it to you in the thing. So if I scroll up on this, it will be there.
It's not quite as clear cut as we'd planned it.
It says here. He quotes: "If you live in England for 5 years, it doesn't make you English. But if you live in Wales for 6 months, it makes you Welsh."
No, it doesn't.
It fucking does.
No, it doesn't,
Shut
and
your
it doesn't
fat
make me
face.
ginger either, because I'm not
Fucking-
ginger or Welsh.
Do you own a ginger cat?
Just because you've been fat for 20 years, it doesn't make you slim.
Technically, I've got big bones.
Or whatever. So, Jeff, was he right to say these comments? And I've seen people say that there's an element of racism behind what he said.
No, not at all. I can't see. There's no racism. He's just an innocent boy saying it as he feels it. And again, it's all highlighted because he plays for England and it's topical at the moment.
Yeah.
I noticed he has had a little bit of a Twitter thing tonight with Kevin Peterson over this, and Peterson said that he was interested to know how you define foreigner. Would that include me, Strauss, Trott, Pryor, Justin Rose, Froome, and Mo Farah? And Jack encountered. He retorted him with all due respect, Mr. Peterson. The question was about football, cricket, cycling, athletics is not my field. Now, it goes back to we was talking. I think he was talking in general about the boy from Manchester United. I can't pronounce his name. What's his name?
Janusaj, is it?
Yeah.
Fantastic player. And in my belief, in my opinion, if where the border's more or less been opened up now, if you've been in the country for a certain amount of time as a youngster and you've been through the system at any club and you want to be nationalised as English or whatever, then why not? I don't see any reason for that. Should they play for England? Do you know what, to be honest with you, I think between now and 15 years, if we don't move with the times and our game doesn't change, England will become, like, no disrespect to the jocks, I think they'll become like Scotland because...
Can we say jocks?
Yeah, why not? Why can't we say? Well, why not? Yeah,
That's like saying paddies as well. I'm sorry if there are
paddies.
Scottish or Irish
No,
people listening to
We'll
this.
be off to the Hague.
It was not. It was a term of endearment. I called it that way. I've got loads of same old all the time, isn't it? But I've got loads of Scottish pals that they're called jock.
I don't have any Scottish friends. I wouldn't have any, or Welsh.
Yeah. But whatever it is, I don't see any reason. I would like to see an all English team and an all English manager. But maybe we have got to move with the times. Otherwise, we'll get left behind.
I mean, just because you've been eating mini cheddars for the last 42 3/4 years, it doesn't actually make you one, does it, Danny?
May or may not do. Do you want my little list of players who've played for England at full level that weren't born in England?
Yes, please.
You got John Legendary Barnes. You got Raheem Sterling, Luther Blissett, all from Jamaica. Tony Dorigo, Australia. The mighty Terry Butcher was born in Singapore. Owen Hargreaves, Canada. Wilfried Zaha, Ivory Coast. John Salako, Nigeria, and to a lesser extent, Graham Lasso and Matt Letizia were born in the Channel Islands, which is where my old man's from. But it could be. He has got a point that I don't think, unless you were born, I think Terry Butcher might have been born on British soil abroad. Like if you're born in the RAF, a camp in Germany or something like that, then you could still claim to be English. But I'm English, I'm not British, and that's not a slight on anyone who says they are. But very rarely will you get a Welshman, an Irishman, or a Scotsman going, I'm British, and if you do say you're British, then I'm ignoring you. They will say, I'm Welsh, or I'm Scottish. So I say, I'm born in England, I'm English.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it will also depend on if that player has played for the under 16s, 17s, 18s, 19s. I mean, I don't know where the whole eligibility comes from it, but you can't go, I play for England or I play for Poland in the under 16s, 17s and 18s, and then when it goes to the full squad, go and play for them. Going back to Jenkinson, I believe he had the same problem, doesn't he? He can either play for Finland or England.
Yeah, he played at youth level for Finland.
It's a very tricky debate, isn't it? What do you make on it, Will?
Well, you've got to look at both sides of the coin. You've got to look at the countries that have, produce these types of players, and then in a sense, well, in effect, they kind of screw them over. Like, think just a few examples. Senegal could have had Patrick Vieira in their midfield. It's examples like that. But they did this thing on Sky Sports News. They had a map of Europe up, and they took Januzaj as the example. I seem to remember there being 6 countries on the map in which he could play for, and it was Kosovo, Bosnia, Albania, Belgium, and a couple of other countries. I think Belgium is his prime nationality, but are the guidelines to? Do we need to move on? Are we being too archaic? Is Jack Wilshere part of the EDL? Is Tommy Robinson morally right? It is such a tricky debate. It really is, and you've got to be careful not to touch any. I'm trying to be careful and not touch any nerves. But what sparked this debate is a player who scores 2 goals against a pony Sunderland side, against Kevin Ball, who's going to be there for a maximum of 3 games, and it sparks a huge media furore. Jack Wilshere has not treaded into this debate. Journalists have dragged his opinion into it, misrepresented what he's said, and I don't see what Wilshere's done wrong. He's given his opinion. It's not entirely controversial. What's controversial about saying only English players can play for England? That's basically people go, in uproar saying, whoa, wait, we want Polish people to play for England. We want Jamaican players to play for England. It doesn't seem, right to me to be outraged at Wilshere. I don't think Wilshere's done anything wrong here. I don't think Wilshere's racist. I don't think Wilshere's out of touch at all. And it's, as Jeff said, it's very topical, and it's some 18-year-old who can't even play for England until he's been in the country for 5 years, which is 5 years away. So I've no idea why it's even up. It's the interlull. It's International Week. It's slow news.
Why I think we may get left behind if we don't move with the times is you look at the Portuguese teams. They've got half of them are Brazilian, and the French teams, half of them are African. The French World Cup team that won the World Cup, a lot of them was Africans. Zidane, he's African, isn't he? Is he African?
We really don't seem to complain when we have them at Arsenal. Ozil was born in Turkey, Podolski was born in Poland. Sami Nasri, when we had him, was born
in Lesbitron.
He was originally Algerian, I think. Patrick Vieira was Senegalese.
A country full of horses. If it was Sami Nasri, probably, and he was probably given birth by one.
See, I always thought Ozil was born in Turkey. He wasn't. He's born in Gelsenkirchen in Germany.
Yeah,
I didn't know that until a week ago. I swore.
No, fair enough then.
But we've got 2 at Arsenal. We've got Nico Yanaris, who can play for England, China, or Cyprus.
Cypriot, yeah.
And then we've got Manuel Frimpong, who has played for England under 16 and under 17, and now he's playing. Then he decided, I'm going to go and play for Ghana, and has played 1 game for them.
Do you actually remember the time when the newspapers were linking Manuel Almunia to be playing in England goal? Oh my God!
And Arteta when he was at Everton.
It must be stopped.
To be honest, if Mikel Arteta, he is eligible to gain, a place in the England team. No England fan would be complaining if Arteta was sitting there playing the way he does for Arsenal, positionally disciplined, fantastic attitude, and is equally the player Michael Carrick can be sometimes. No one would be complaining, because at the end of the day, football fans want success, and whatever it takes to bring them success, unless you really are a really hard person to please, they don't care. They really don't. No Germany fan sits there going, well, we don't want Podolski. He was born in Poland. He's only got 104 caps for them. And he turns in performances every World Cup, every European Championship. The debate for me today, it's slow news, it's topical, it's bullshit, and I just can't wait until the Premiership's back, if I'm quite honest.
Definitely, here to that. And Danny, you spoke about a couple of Arsenal young'uns, and I hear you've got some information on all the Arsenal loanees.
I certainly do. We've got, not everyone's probably heard of George. It's spelt differently, not the English way of spelling it, I don't think. Bird, who does all that wonderful work with the Arsenal under 18s, under 21s and youths and all that. He's got his own website. He's on Twitter. I asked him the other day, because he does quite a comprehensive roundup of the loanees. I said to him, any chance we could read it out on the podcast? And he said, yeah, feel free to. So if you want to go and have a look at his site, it's Arsenal Youth Giroud.wordpress.com, or go and follow him on Twitter. And so his roundup says Johan Giroud started and played the whole game as Hamburg dispatched Nuremberg. Well, I always get the track, the F1 track, and the bloody place mixed up. Nuremberg with an emphatic 5-0 victory, despite being just 1 goal to the good at half-time. Academy product Martin Angahar was an unused sub for who?
Martin Anger.
Yeah.
Martin Anger.
He sounds very angry. Substitute for Nuremberg. Also in the Bundesliga, Francis Coquelin was again handed a starting berth on the left wing as Freiburg drew 1-1 with Frankfurt.
The left wing?
That's what he's got. When he's a central midfielder, isn't he? Central defensive midfielder. He was meant to be the new defensive one.
It's nice to see that our players are utilised.
Wellington Silva came on as a half-time substitute but couldn't stop his team Murcia losing 3-2 to Real Jean in the Spanish second division. Chuck Zanucki, I said that too quickly, that sounded like one word, came on in the final 14 minutes of Crewe's 4-0 defeat to Notts County and had a shot saved in the closing stages, but Ignacy Miguel was again an unused substitute for Leicester City, who lost 1-0 at Doncaster Rovers.
And Josh, well. I've seen him play once live on TV, I think it was against Leeds, and my Charlton friend thinks they played at the Valley earlier in the season. Charlton are quite a bad run of form. The game was drawn 1-0, I think, but Seb Mikel was just so out of touch, didn't know what he was doing. So I like Ignacy, but maybe not for Arsenal.
Yeah, he needs to go back to warmer climes. Then finally, Josh Vickers made several good saves, but was eventually beaten as Canvey Island drew 1-1 with Carl Sholton Athletic. And also there was the bloke who is on loan at Olympiacos. What's his name?
Joel Campbell.
That's it. Did anybody? They once. I watched the highlights on George's site, and they won 6-0 at the weekend. He scored 2 goals and got 1 assist. And one of the goals, he's laying on his arse, almost with his back to goal as he scores. And then someone else, I tweeted about that. I said, look at his goals, that's pretty good. Then someone showed me when he was playing for Costa Rica, when he got the USA player booked, where he walked across the back of the USA player, dived to the floor and rolled around like he'd been shot, got the player booked, and then the player ended up missing the next game for the USA. And it was such a bad bit of diving and sportsmanship that FIFA are actually FIFA are going to look into it, which they very rarely do stuff like that. But yeah, they're looking into it, and he's going to be in trouble for that. So just go and Google it. I mean, YouTube it. It's absolutely fucking disgraceful.
Okay. Is that the lot, Danny?
Oh, that's enough.
Did you mention Johan Giroud?
I certainly did.
Did you?
I certainly did, yeah. You said, remember, I couldn't say Nuremberg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for keeping up.
No, that's all right. Our next topic sees us talk about a certain picture tweeted and then deleted by Linford Christie. For those of you that haven't seen the picture, it has Sagna, Christie, Henry and Giroud, with Thierry and Giroud both sporting Arsenal merchandise sponsored by Puma. There's lots of questions to be answered on this. So, Jeff, what did you make of the picture in question?
Very strange, isn't it? Really, I'm very, very surprised. I mean, it's all right for the other lads that was involved in it, but with Giroud being pictured in a Puma product while we're still under the contract of Nike, I don't know how that's going to fit with Nike. I don't know. Surely, there's going to be a bit of a scream about that. Is it a real photograph? I don't know. I mean, it looks real. It was posted on Linford Christie's Twitter account, so it's most probably a correct photograph. Whether or not the kits have got to be real, haven't they? Surely. Looks funny.
I'm having a look at the website now, and I've just saved the picture, and you can normally tell when something's been photoshopped, because if you zoom all the way in, you'll see an outline all the way around the badges. And to try and get those things at that angle, for me, it looks like that is the official thing. I mean, it looks like it hasn't been photoshopped. But then again, saying on 2 sides of the badge, it does have a little bit of darkening around the edges.
But Christie wouldn't tweet something that he knew was photoshopped, though, would he?
No, of course not. I wouldn't have thought so. He might have been tricked. He might have been tricked or something. No, but surely he was. He knows if he was there or not. So he wouldn't have tweeted it, would he?
No, isn't Linford Christie something to do with Puma as well?
Well, they do run fast.
Whether he's an ambassador or something like that, I don't know.
Who was in the photo?
It was Sagna, Linford Christie, Henry and Giroud.
And it looks like Henry is wearing the home kit with the Puma, and it looks like Giroud is wearing a warm-up kit, which is like kind of duvet material. You know, where it's got the lines going across it to keep you warm.
I think a couple of them actually wear Puma. Might be something to do with it.
Yeah, but the full Arsenal badge, it looks like an Arsenal kit, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
And it's got Fly Emirates on the front as well.
Yeah.
Didn't Linford wear those Puma contact lenses at one point?
Yeah, he did. I think he did, didn't he, for an advertisement or something?
Yeah.
That's right.
So Newsweek.
Thing is, though, one of the questions you've got to ask is, if Puma are making the shirts, would they have been designed and made already?
Yeah, definitely.
I would think so.
Because I think someone was saying to us that although they're not announcing it now, everything's in place, and they'll be announcing it just after Christmas. For the beginning of the new year, because I think they probably have an agreement with Nike in place where they at a point where they can start to publicise it a little bit, but it certainly isn't now.
Yeah, Steve's the man that we would have loved to ask on this. He should have
Yeah.
been here tonight, but unfortunately he couldn't have been. So big hello to Steve. But yeah, I understand that he knows some of the Puma bods, and he would have been able to shed a little bit of light on this, wouldn't he?
Certainly would have done.
Where's he out dogging or something in Warsaw, isn't he, I suppose, Steve?
No, last time I heard from him, he was doing a ridiculous amount of miles an hour down a Polish motorway. So
And we wouldn't have it any other way.
no,
So he says.
exactly. He's living life in the fast lane.
I'm looking at this season's kit, and then I'm looking at the one that Henri is wearing. This season's kit has got the black round collar around the neck, and then it has got the red, white, and blue parts on the sleeves. Is that this season's? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one Henri is wearing has got a red ring round the neck. It isn't this season's kit.
It must be a real picture. You know, the fact that it's been tweeted and deleted by Linford Christie so quickly would mean that somebody somewhere has gone, take that down. But
It was obviously a Puma photo shoot or something, wasn't it? For some reason, and that's why maybe Christie was there. And he's obviously he tweeted it and made a mistake, hasn't he?
Thing is, I think if I'm going to fit into that shirt, I'm going to have to lose myself about 3 stone. Have you seen how tight it is? Jeez. There's going to be a lot of big Charlied ladies that I'm going to enjoy watching while wearing that shirt.
I'd need to be larded up by 3 lovely ladies to get one leg in that.
Yeah, you're going to have to get the old Vaseline on you.
Hey, you always have to take it to the level, don't you? I said lard, you've gone Vaseline.
I'd put a couple of pots of Vaseline on the top, get you to roll around.
Gently warm me.
But enough of my inner thoughts.
Gay wore a yellow ribbon to be interested in this segment of the podcast, no doubt, won't he?
He'll have it in for
Vaseline and everything like that.
I hear he's somewhere on the Holloway Road with his rainbow flag at the moment.
Yeah. Sure.
Getting people to sign a petition because he can't smoke gay fags in the stadium.
Yeah.
It was last seen outside Pieborough Corner with Piers Morgan. Well, I hate Piers Morgan on it.
Even though those fags burn green.
Green. I ain't having it, Mr. Gay.
I can't believe you actually said the horrible PM word, Jeff.
Yeah,
Shame on you.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to stand in the corner now for 15 minutes with my hands tied behind my back.
That's it. We're going to have to stick the annual dunce hat on you and make you stand in the corner.
Lovely. That was especially for Gay War, that, as happens.
Okay. That is Gay War yellow ribbon. Hello, Mr. Gay, or as you might know him, GC or Gav.
I love him. He knows I love him, really.
People don't know that story. We're not accusing Gav of being gay. He once wrote to the club asking him why he couldn't smoke his electronic fags in the stadium, and they messed up his name and replied, "Dear Mr. Gay." That's why we do the gay stuff, not because we're taking a piss out of him for possibly gay, because he's not.
It'll be on the Christmas special, and trust me, you have to listen to that story. Just the way he delivers it. Oh my God. That week that the podcast came out, me and my missus, we must have listened to it 50 to 60 times. I was in tears with laughter. I tell you, oh my word.
And he's still not over it.
Yeah, I mean, even Alan Pardew was laughing.
And I'm not telling you what Sichuan was saying. He's furious.
Sichuan went mental.
He ain't having any of that. He smashed the gaff out. He went all strutter on the gaff.
He did. Strata. But like I said, hello, Gaff. I know he'd be quite animated, and he will be when he's hosting this show next.
If you look, you see he's giving us a stare.
Could you see
the eye?
Anyone in North London could see the smoke signals coming out of his ears.
Or no, they can't see smoke signals. You can say little green LEDs.
Right, we'll draw a line under that one unless anybody else has got anything to say on it.
No,
far away.
Okay then, the back straight of the podcast sees us talking about something that should be close to any red-blooded Gooner's hearts. The possible return of Dennis Bergkamp to the club in a coaching role. This week the Dutchman himself came out and commented on it, and he said, Danny?
The feeling of Johan Cruyff is my lover. Sorry, Ava, if you hear that, we're very, very sorry. And Gimli made me do it.
Make him.
He did fucking make me. The feeling Johan Cruyff has had for Barcelona, I have the same with Arsenal, Bergkamp told the Telegraph. At Arsenal, it was a good click. I don't know, maybe it means clique. I don't know. Maybe it's good click. I don't know what good click is. Always enjoyed it. I never had a bad day there. It is always on my mind. It is part of my ambition to come back at some stage. I see myself as being part of the coaching staff. I really enjoy that role, especially the individual training with strikers.
Lovely stuff. So, the one question is, what do we make of it, and would we all welcome it?
That's a silly question.
Yeah, it's a bit of a silly question. I think there's not an Arsenal fan alive that was Dennis Bergkamp. No, you're all right. But I think it's something that's very positive. If we look at, and we spoke about this before the podcast kicked off tonight, me and Danny. You look at Bayern Munich, and you also look at Dortmund, whereas they've had a lot of ex-players come back as staff in coaching roles, and we're talking about two teams that made the Champions League final last year, so I can't see it being a bad thing. Will?
Yeah, I agree. When you see Dennis Bergkamp talk, and when you listen to him talk, take any average Premiership footballer after, I know Lee Evans does a great sketch on this, when you see them after a game being interviewed, the general buzzwords are, yeah, I tried to get it in the goal. We scored some goals. It was a good game. I love football.
With lots of basicallys.
And
yeah. With Dennis Bergkamp, the man is an absolute genius. He gets the inner roots and the deeper theory in football. When you listen, when he speaks, all you have to do is listen. When he says stuff like, each ball we play and each pass you make has to have a thought behind it. Imagine if players came out and said that in the press. Imagine if we could look at a footballer so insightful in the media these days. You just don't get him around. A fantastic footballer, a fantastic personality. He's not soft or anything. He has a real inner steel to want to go and win football matches. Dennis Bergkamp would be a fantastic addition. I was, when he came to the club, I was one. So I got to see him towards the end of his Arsenal career, and I remember being there when we beat Everton 7-0 and the crowd singing One More Year, and I remember Dennis Bergkamp there against West Brom. Those are the Bergkamp memories that stick with me, but all I could do is watch highlights and video clips and think, wow, that's what it was like to watch Dennis Bergkamp, and how amazing it was.
Thing is, he's a very hot-headed character as well. From anyone that's, and I know everybody listening to this will have seen him play. He's got a very motivated. He's got a lot of drive. I think he'd be an absolutely brilliant coach, wouldn't he, Jeff?
Well, yeah, different. I mean, the man is like Will said. The man's a genius. On the pitch, he had that just knack of seeing different pictures to all the other players on the pitch and be able to thread them balls through, and the stuff. He was brilliant. Now he's still got that, and what an asset he would be to any football club. I mean, and me personally, I would go and pick him up on my scooter from Amsterdam, and then bring him all the way back, because and players like that with such, he's just brilliant, isn't he, Bergkamp? I think he'd love to come back to Arsenal. I think Arsenal's made for him. I think he'd be a fantastic coach. As far as I know, I think I read that same report. I don't think he's interested in managing. I think he does want to be a coach. Obviously, because we got that problem with the flying and stuff like that to Champions League matches, where he didn't necessarily have to be there if he was a coach. But I'd definitely open him with arms. Definitely, what a fantastic addition he would be.
Just one more thing quickly. some players can make a bad name for themselves and give themselves a bad image. A couple of examples I would say would be Tony Adams. Things they say in the media. Bergkamp stays away from that. A, because he's smart, but B, because everything he says is actually very intelligent and it's not knee-jerk. It's not, off the top of the head. Everything he says has true meaning to it. As his footballing ability is, well on track with his brain. As in, it's fantastic, and I just don't see how you can say no to Dennis Bergkamp.
And also,
the
youngsters that come through and are working with him. If he tells you something, right, you're going to believe it because he's done so much and been such a fantastic footballer. You are definitely going to believe it, and it'd be an inspiration for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you only have to look at, when we've had Thierry Henry back, just how the young players have picked up and raised their game when you see him back. You have Dennis Bergkamp back on a full-time coaching position. You're adding to the quality that these players are going to be getting to go forward. So, you've got quite a few young players that we're going to have coaching with him, learning from him, and being able to see what he has done. I mean, I'm just looking here. There wasn't a season that he played for us that he played under 30 games. So every single season, I think the lowest he played was 31 games for us in one season. That was in his last season.
Thing is, he's a born leader as well, isn't he? I mean, he's an inspiration off and on the pitch. I mean, I would, well, like Jeff already said, jump on your scooter, Jeff. Go and get him. Go and get him.
You just got to think the inner benefit. Do you remember? I remember when Ramsey kind of after his injury had a year out. When he came back, he was still an okay player, but I don't know if any of you remember. Ramsey used to try a lot of back heels, fancy flicks, let the ball roll off him first time. Someone like Bergkamp come in would tell him, sit him down, go, you play behind the striker, you don't do that. You play the simple option. Just little things like that. Even he'd love to work with players like Mesut Ozil, and imagine Ozil as a player and Bergkamp as a coach. He'd work on awareness, touch, improving ability, how to take the ball down first time, how to make a run off a player that's marking you. Bergkamp knows it, and he can project it, and he can actually interpret it into a certain type of footballing language, because Tony Adams knew how to play as great a centre half, but sometimes when you look at him and he does punditry and stuff like that, sometimes he stutters, sometimes he uses basic words. Bergkamp wouldn't do that. He would give you a full, if you like, lesson on how to do what's needed. And that's no offence to Tony Adams. He's probably the greatest player who's played for Arsenal.
Yes,
but
definitely.
I would never tarnish such a man. But I'm talking in terms of how to project an opinion and how to teach people how to play football. I don't know.
And he could do the lot. He could do the lot, couldn't he, Bergkamp? Let's be honest. Offensively, he could do the absolute lot. Different class.
And I think one of the things you've got to look at as well, is there any greater man than the players would have more respect for than someone that's been there and done that for the club that they're playing at?
Yeah.
So
probably not. I'm lucky enough that I think I saw Bergkamp's first ever game for Arsenal, which is a friendly up at Wolves when him and Platt made their debut in 1995, I think it was. And then I was also there at his last ever game, which was the first ever game at Cash Burton. So I'm lucky enough, and I actually met him when we beat Hartlepool 5-0 in the League Cup.
And did you shout something at him?
A couple of about 3 or 4 years before the end of his time, he was having a bit of a shit time, and there was rumours going that he wanted a new contract, and so I just shouted at him, "Fucking sort your life out!" And you know what? He did.
And so everybody can thank our very own Danny for Dennis Bergkamp having a glittering end to his career.
That means nothing. But just imagine if the club had any sense, they would go and get Mad Jens as our new guy. I know Mad Jens wants to be manager, but he's doing his badges. Imagine him as our goalkeeping coach. Then you bring Thierry Henry, who wants to do coaching, Bergkamp, who does do coaching,
Perez,
and Perez.
In this sense, just to end, I think we are very similar to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich have a setup in their backroom staff. It's just full of, in effect, legends, and on the pitch, in the sense of Bayern Munich built up a nucleus of players of around 5-6 players that were with the club from a young age. And I think we're doing similar, Chamberlain, Wilshere. I think, it's a good way to go towards emulating it. But as in regards to coaching, bringing Bergkamp in, Bergkamp would maybe give Henri a call, say, Thierry, do you fancy coming working with me? Yes. Arsene wouldn't say no, would he? You kind of get a bit giddy at the thought of it. But, I think in that respect, it's a bit like what Munich are doing. But, yeah, I'll shut up now.
Definitely.
I mean, as a grown man, if I got the chance to meet Bergkamp, Henri, Perez, Mad Jens, as a big, grown, fat, ugly bloke with a hairy arse, I would be all of a quiver. Just think the effect that could have on our younger players and the British core at the club.
Isn't Lundberg back at Arsenal doing some things PR-wise as well?
I think he's a brand ambassador or something like that.
Yeah, he is. He goes
Arsenal Underpants.
He needs something like that.
Maybe.
Right, so this brings us to the end of the podcast. So we're going to do some shout-outs if Will's phone doesn't stop going off.
Maybe it's Bergkamp. Is it Bergkamp?
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh, God.
His
yeah,
girlfriend.
Breaking news.
Apologies for that, Kim. Apologies.
Breaking news, it's not Dennis Bergkamp on the phone. Shout-outs, and Danny.
I'm going to do a very special shout-out. We all know it's my birthday tomorrow. I'll be the grand old age of 43.
Yay.
It's Tony Adams' birthday tomorrow. He's 47.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Charlie George is 63 tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Charlie.
And then I put on Twitter, is anybody, so they didn't know what day to cheat by, I said, anybody got their birthday this week? So the following people have all got to share a birthday with me, Tony and Charlie. You got North London is Red, who is at Peter J. Felix. He's 30.
Happy birthday, Peter.
And Vicky Fernandez, who is at Gooner... GOONERIFCLNDIAN. Fucking stop with the stupid names. He's
Happy
23.
birthday,
Someone I think we might have all seen, Jovino's forehead, who is at Jerv number 4 head. He's 22.
Happy birthday.
And Ava, who was on with us a couple of weeks ago, it's her mum's birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday, Ava's mum.
The girl with a lovely accent. She's got a fantastic accent.
Happy birthday, Ava's mum. We love you.
Yes, we do. And that's all the ones I'm going to shout. Happy birthday, everybody.
Okay, then. Jeff?
You know I don't do shout-outs. I'll tell you for the reason why. It's because I've got so many people I talk to. We'd be here until midnight.
Why don't you go and shout out your new mate?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. They'd string me up. Gav, I think he's outside the house now with a hammer.
He'd be there with his rainbow flag with his hands out, ready to grab your bollocks, I tell you.
Well, 11 o'clock tonight, if you go to Sky TV and you go and have a look at the CNN channel, you can see him in live doing his show, and you can just go up and moon the screen.
Yeah.
Right then. Will, your shout-outs?
I suppose I better shout my girlfriend out as at Inky Polo on Twitter, Paula, love her dearly, and I'd say also there's a couple of people I went to West Brom on Sunday at Ricky Casey 99, incredibly funny when he's pissed. That's it actually. I'll just stop at 2 because I'll go on too long.
And Ian?
Only one shout out, and that's just to all the guys at SK Save Point, which is the Sick Kids Save Point, which is the 24-hour gaming marathon that starts on Friday to raise money for the Sick Kids Hospital.
We'll put a link to that.
I've seen that as happening. It's right. I've seen that.
And my shout out this week is, it's not sentimental because we don't like each other really. My shout out goes to birthday boy Danny.
Oh, yeah, ginger bastard.
And that nice. I mean, we only pretend to like each other for 2 hours a week on a Thursday.
I mean, I got a card off of my daughter's mother, so.
Oh no, you ain't getting a card off me. Card Factory was closed.
Was it?
He's going to send you an e-card later.
Yeah,
I'll burn it.
I had 14p, but I was 5p short off their cheapest card, so I thought, fuck yeah, really.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's all that matters. You thought of me.
Exactly. So, with no further ado, I'd like to thank all of you boys for joining me and Danny tonight.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having me on, Kim.
And that's all right. Next week, I'm going off to Colombia on my holidays.
Going to bring something back with you?
Yes. Toot. So I'd like to basically say that GC, Mr. Shewar, is going to be hosting this show, and we've got a couple of history people on, haven't we, Dan?
We've got Andy and Mark.
Brilliant. It's top people.
So if anybody's got any questions that they'd like to hear answered or discussed, tweet us at our Twitter account, which is, well, I suppose you probably know what it is at the AFC podcast, and
Yep.
then we shall ask them. We've already got quite a few to answer, so if there's any more, do let us know.
So all you people that love your Arsenal history, wrap your ear rolls around that one.
Yes.
So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Happy birthday, cheeky monkeys.
Bitches.
Monkeys.
Bitches.
Monkeys.
Monkey bitches.
Fuck
Can I
you.
fuck off? Can I fuck off and get my chicken soup now, Dan boy? I'm starving. Absolutely starving.
What do you mean?
Thank
It's only
God.
been 2.5 hours. Fuck's
Oh
sake,
my
what's up with you?
God, I swear to God.
Good
Starving.
night, listeners.